it's no secret. This is one of the most craziest seasons we've ever seen. Just in terms of just one driver, one team doing everything just perfectly. Um, but now, we talk about Max. I think the most important thing is talk about, who are like some up and coming people who had the kind of the better season than you thought that they were going to have, and who did not meet expectations. Firstly, I think we need to start with McLaren. I think McLaren killed it this year.
Lando Norris and Piastri.
Yeah, straight. Best duo right now, in my opinion. Best duo.
Agreed.
Super, super, super nice with it. They, I, I'm really becoming, McLaren's becoming, I think I was mentioning this before. McLaren is a team that I'm really loving right now. Very
Yes.
consistent performances. Lando has been on another level and really outdriving the hell out of that car. Thoughts on maybe for okay, we can't say
Lando
that this season.
Norris, honestly,
Lando
is
Norris
my
versus
driver of
Max.
the year.
You're gonna wait. Oh, for a second I thought you were gonna say Lando Norris versus Max for next season. I was like, that's crazy. No
It's
way.
possible. It's possible. It's highly
That's
possible. M-
wild. No
McLaren
way.
might finally get their wind tunnel ready, which has been going on, I don't know, for a decade. My God, but what an
Yeah.
improvement. In Bahrain, they were nowhere. There were jokes
Yep.
about their livery, their car. This is going to be, because they have the Google Chrome
Yep.
sponsorship, and they were like, everyone was
Yes.
joking about how the
It's
car
so
is a
dumb. Sorry, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen on
no,
the
but
car on
everyone
a
was
car
talking
so
about
in
how
recent
the
time. Hmm.
that is true. That is true. But everyone was talking about how they're like Internet Explorer. They never finish on time. And now they
Facts.
just the improvement has been something else. And if it wasn't for a couple of mistakes from McLaren's end, I mean Lando just went from 17th in Mexico to P5. And
Hmm.
he started last, became 17th because of grid penalties and stuff. But
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I genuinely think if McLaren get it together on the weekend, they do have a chance to win a race.
Yep.
Piastri won in Qatar. He won a sprint, but he won.
Hmm.
Which brings me to Piastri. That guy is having a rookie season I haven't seen since maybe Hamilton. I
Oh
haven't
yeah.
seen a rookie as professional.
It's so good. I honestly like, and I think people were hyping the hell out of him before. And now it's like, if you keep hyping this kid up so much, you don't know what he's gonna actually do. And then now he's like got so much more pressure. Um, Drive to Survive was going crazy. Oscar Piastri is the next biggest thing. Yeah, 100%. Like on paper,
For
yes.
once, Drive to Survive is factual.
Yeah, and actually it is happening. Crazy, crazy good rookie season. Very, very impressive stuff. I'm looking at the rankings right now. He's coming ninth in his rookie season.
Not
Very, very
bad.
impressive stuff. But I will say that, ninth compared to Lando's sixth, you would want him to be a little bit more closer, but what is this? He Lando's fourth, fifth year? Something like that. So yeah,
Fifth year. Fifth
yeah,
year.
fifth year.
100
So
races.
yeah, so it's becoming more and more like we can't be looking at Lando as the young driver. And I even think even for
Yeah,
that matter, Lando, George, and all these group of people, Charles, they're not the young drivers anymore, in my opinion. They're in the middle of the
they
pack
established.
already. Yeah, they're established. They're not like I think that's where when I look at the seasons like someone like George has had, oh my God, it's been a crazy difference between him and Lewis. Lewis is coming third, him coming eighth right now in drivers and driver standings. Um, what do you
And
think is
his miss
happening
in
in
Singapore, that's going to haunt him for years.
yeah. What do you think is happening with George? Is it the because I think there was more pressure before of the Mercedes seat. I think because of Red Bull's dominance, the pressure has decreased a tiny bit. But still, I think Mercedes, if they're not top three, it's a bad season for them.
Yeah.
And what's going on with George? Because I'm thinking about all the underperforming people, and probably he's probably the first person that comes to my head right
Agree.
now, like as one of the considered someone to be a very top driver.
I mean, you also just look at the kind of mistakes going on. Okay, Qatar wasn't his mistake. Let's rule that
Yeah.
out. Qatar, he could have finished second.
Hmm.
That one, Lewis messed up. But
Yep.
Lewis, after that, Lewis has had terrible luck as well. He had that
Yep.
crash. Then next race, his first time since 2010, he had two races where he didn't score points because he came second in Austin and was disqualified along with Charles Leclerc. But
Yep.
then Charles and him both came second and third again. So, Lewis is driving that car. He's properly driving that car. I won't say out
Yep.
driving, but he's trying to maximize the potential. I think that car should have won a race. I think it's the still for a long part of the season, it was probably the second best car on the grid. And I think Singapore, that's where George Russell really messed up.
Yep.
That was a science masterclass, but the way he crashed, yeah, that's just you don't want to see that from someone like making that kind of mistake. It just
Yep.
shows, I don't know, inexperience.
Exactly. Inexperience, and it's not even, I think you can't even say inexperience these days. That's what I'm saying. My point is we can't be using inexperience as anything against
Exactly.
Russell, Leclerc, and Lando, especially.
No, it's the X factor.
Max
The
is,
X
yeah,
factor is
Max is on a
missing.
different level right now. Yeah, Max is on a different level. It's the level that they're missing is exactly X factor, and just a little bit more of that I don't know, like I think there's a hunger, but I just feel like I'm
Yep.
not seeing it in the results. And yes, bad luck,
Speaking of
maybe
which,
some things here and there. Yeah, no, no, good. Yeah, yeah, good.
the last point I'd like to make on this topic is Aston Martin. I think that's a good finale for us, which is because what's happened to them? They've had almost the opposite trajectory to McLaren. Fernando
Yeah.
was becoming like, oh, Perez, Fernando, and Verstappen winning. That was like the
Yeah.
top three any
Hmm.
given race. And now suddenly he's nowhere. He's still getting some points. And what is up with Stroll? He's pushing his fitness guy. He's abusive in front of the media. What kind of tantrums are
Stroll
these,
is a
and what's
character.
happening to this?
Stroll is a character I don't understand. And I'm just I don't understand some of the performance and stuff like that. If you're given some of the cars, especially early on in the season, it was very, very disappointing to see Fernando come, podium, come in the top five, and your second driver not even get points. Very embarrassing stuff,
Yeah,
in my opinion. Not at all good. And everyone, even I was like, oh, Aston Martin, like this is like good. I was like, okay, this is a somewhat of a different team now coming on the come up. It was something nice, a good breath of fresh air to get something different. And they were like, I was thinking, oh, maybe if they go on this path second, but I was like, when is it gonna happen? When is it gonna happen? And then it starts to happen. And now they're fifth in constructors, and yeah, so it's
they're already
very
fifth. They got overtaken by McLaren even.
Oh yeah, because McLaren have just been out driving and having a great second half of the season. Um, and Ferrari's just been, somewhat there and stuff like that. I think they've been. I actually think Ferrari hasn't had as bad of a season as maybe some people have given up to be. Because I still think that they're getting the occasional podium, and I feel with the package that they're getting is it's actually a
It's
lot more
decent.
impressive. Yeah, it's actually much more
Yeah.
impressive than I think we should give them credit for, because I feel that I was expecting them to be more compete. I mean, they are competing. I think their main competitor is, of course, their top competitor is Mercedes, and then I would expect them to be a little bit more in the pack with Aston Martin and McLaren. But they are distinguishing themselves, and they are getting ahead of that. So and I do believe that Ferrari will finish third in constructors. So
I think they'll finish second. I think that's my
oh,
that's my book
oh.
because they've closed the gap to Mercedes recently, and even though Mercedes is getting higher results, Ferrari is more consistent because your top both your drivers are doing really well.
Yep.
And I think that's why I want to mention the last guy for this season has to be Sainz because he's somehow taken at some points a very, very average car and been very consistent with it. I think that's his
Yeah.
one advantage over Leclerc, the reason he's ahead, because he still maximizes what he gets out of a car.
Yep.
And he's got he's got a win this season, and that was all his own brilliance. So, if you can get a win despite Ferrari strategy, you are a top dog.
Yeah. The only win by a non-Red Bull. Also, so very, very,
Exactly.
very impressive. And I just want it to be more competitive. That's something that I just want to see more. If we've in my opinion, the way kind of approached the season, and we were kind of talking about this in our last episode, was I've almost kind of just written out Red Bull. One of them is going to come top two, definitely
Yeah,
Max probably. We know all the standings and stuff like that. The real story now exists a little bit further down, and I feel like that's pretty normal with most seasons in F1. But this one has been more evident than anything because we know that Max is going to be winning a race.
exactly.
And the thing is with Sainz is he just needs a, a support from Ferrari. He just needs a better support.
Yep.
I think if you have Carlos Sainz right now driving what he's been able to, the performances he's getting, paired that with, okay, fine, I'm not going to say great strategy, good strategy. Okay, we'll give them
Yeah,
somewhat of a good
exactly.
strategy and a decent car that's worth competing and maybe just one rank below a Red Bull, because I think it's right now pretty far off from a Red Bull.
Yeah,
Was one rank away from Red Bull. Oh my God, you could have signs coming
that would be
almost.
a
You
good
could have
season.
signs almost fighting for second, in my opinion, in the drivers in the drivers championship. So that's what we. I think that's what I really really want to see from Ferrari is just some like that opportunity to really give both of their drivers. Both of their drivers are having of course, yeah, Leclerc, not having the greatest season, but honestly, like, I just think that Sainz has just been outperforming crazy, and I feel that
True.
Leclerc is performing to expectations based on just the car
But
package. Yeah.
exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. But Carlos is just outdriven him. There's no way
Yeah,
around it.
exactly, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens next season because this season's done. I think it's been a weird season. I don't know really what to make like what's there have been some really cool things with Piastri, McLaren, Albon. We didn't even touch had a pretty good first half of the season.
Yes,
Still doing like pretty okay, from time to time. Williams no more in the bottom. They're coming up, and so it's good to see that. Little bit of a return for Williams, and big stuff. And I'm hoping this is the right trajectory that they're going to be on. But the issue is I just don't know about their driver lineup. I don't really have that confidence on
exactly.
Logan Sargent one bit. Or they didn't change their driver up, right? Right?
They haven't confirmed yet. They haven't
Okay.
confirmed yet.
Yeah. So
But you're right.
um, yeah, like someone like Haas, I have just been very, they've had a season that's just been uh, a very
It's normal
really,
now.
yeah, it's a really regular season now for them that they've just been like not performing. Alpine, I was expecting, I think let's end it on this. Alpine, based off the drivers that they have, um,
Underperformed
disappointing.
massively.
Very disappointing. Yeah, really disappointing. I expect Alpine to be fighting to be
With
with the
McLaren, I expected
Astons,
them with
and
McLaren
yeah,
and Aston.
exactly. And I was expecting, there's gonna be Pierre, Esteban, both the French drivers on a French team. Ooh, this is gonna be some nice stuff. Like I was expecting great driver pairing, great for the publicity for Alpine. Awesome, and two really really good drivers. Let's be honest, they're both very very good drivers.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
been very weird from Alpine this year. Not the performance, and they just seem to be like just outside of points or just getting either P9, P10, somewhere around there. Mm.
They both had one podium each, Monaco and then Zanderwood, both crazy
Yeah,
races. So
yeah.
it's kind of that weird race
Yeah.
phenomenon of a
I mean,
car.
Gasly has to have one crazy race every single season where he either wins or takes a
But he needs
podium,
more
something like
support.
that.
They're just not
Yeah,
supporting him. I don't know why they're backing Ocon as their number one driver. It's
yeah,
well proven. Gasly is a race winner. He's a proven race winner. And in a car of that caliber, I think he can really pull off something that Alonso's doing for Aston Martin. So I think they're backing the wrong horse. I know
exactly.
Esteban's been with them for years, but I'm sorry, you got to back the
Yeah.
right horse.
Exactly. And also when you look at someone like Pierre Gasly, what are his options if he's not getting backed at his team right now? If he's not being pushed as the number one driver, what are his options going forward?
Nothing,
You know,
nothing in F1.
he can't return back to Red Bull, in my opinion. I don't think they want to take him back at Red Bull. I don't see a lot of other teams. I feel like a lot of other teams are pretty set with their driver lineups, especially when you start looking at
Exactly.
some of the top teams. McLaren,
No,
I think yeah, like McLaren
his
driver
only
lineup.
like
Yeah, McLaren, Ferrari, McLaren for Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull for that matter. Even though Perez is people have his criticisms or whatever like that, I still think has been a great number two. So everything has been like everything's set already in the top team. So I just don't know where Gasly's career is going to go from here. Very honestly.
that's a bombshell to end on.
Yeah, it's really sad, honestly, because I really, Pierre Gasly's story is one of like my favorites in F1, and it's just really came from purely based off talent or really rags to riches kind of thing. Very similar to Esteban Ocon, honestly. So that's why I really like those drivers who are coming in a lot with some very very talented stuff, and I just don't know if you're not being supported as the number one driver right now, especially for Gasly. It's very bitterly disappointing. Because there were even times when he was with AlphaTauri that it felt that he wasn't being treated as number one, and it felt that because of the Japanese influence that we got Yuki coming in as the number one driver. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, we'll catch back up on something more hopeful
Yep.
soon. So stay tuned.
All right. See you guys.